Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam overview class. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam overview class. We are discussing the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and last time we discussed the beautiful story of all the Kuru dynasty and the Vrishnis and Yadavas and Brajavasis. All of them, they assembled at the holy place of Kurukshetra because there was a solar eclipse. So all of them, they came to take bath there, and it is described how all the Kauravas and Pandavas, they all came in a royal procession, and they gave lots of charity. They performed all the worship, and when Nanda Maharaj with all the cowherd men, they heard, they came to know that Krishna and Balram has come. So they came running along with Mother Yashoda, and there they met Krishna and Balram. Nanda and Yashoda, they were so very overwhelmed to see Krishna and Balram after a long time. And the beautiful reciprocation, we discussed what happened between Krishna, Balram, and Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. Then all the uh, all the ladies, they met Rohini and Devaki. They met Yashoda, and Yashoda Mai, she was so very absorbed in looking at Krishna. She made him sit on her lap. And Devaki, she was thinking, I don't have even a iota of the love which Mother Yashoda has for Krishna. And she was so very absorbed, ecstatic, that she didn't care for anything. And then after some time, Uddhavji, he brought all the gopis, because gopis were also longing for the meeting with Krishna. So Uddhavaji brought all the gopis, and Balramji, he saw that, oh, gopis have come at a distance. So Balramji, he took permission and he left. And then Krishna, he took all the gopis to a secluded place, and he pacified all the gopis, consoled the gopis very nicely. And gopis also very sarcastically, angrily, they spoke some things, because Krishna, he said, oh, do you still remember me? So this made gopis so very angry. Of course, that was their love for Krishna. So that was the last chapter. So today we'll be beginning the 83rd chapter. We'll discuss this chapter in which Draupadi meets the queens of Krishna. So after summarizing the conversation of gopis with Krishna, which happened on the first day, so now Shukdev Goswami goes on to describe what happened on the other days in Kurukshetra. So when the gopis they met Krishna, 4 prahars of night passed. They continued their discussion, and the whole night they were with Krishna. And Krishna he embraced all the gopis headed by Srimati Radharani. Everybody was so very pacified, and these meetings they happened every night. So first night when the gopis they met with Krishna, they were so very overwhelmed because of separation. They were so very grief stricken, and when they met Krishna, you know, they were so very overjoyed. So that night they could not enjoy with Krishna. That was not so much suitable. But later, every night they Krishna would meet all the gopis and they would have so many loving pastimes. So in this chapter, which is now going to come, the importance of a very, very important limb of sadhana bhakti is described. And what is that? Out of all the 9 limbs, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Marchanam, Mandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. So the most important of the 9 is Kirtanam, chanting and glorifying. Nam Kirtan, Gun Kirtan, Leela Kirtan. So all this Kirtanam is one of the most important limbs. And one can do Kirtan of the Lord only by the mercy of the Lord. So when we sing the glories of the Lord, Yasho aho aho bhir nakale viduyate sudha sudhara madhuram pade pade dine dine chandana chandra shitalam yasho yashoda tanayasya giyate. So every day, one should absorb his mind and consciousness in hearing the pastimes of Krishna. Yasho Yashoda Tanayasya Giyate. Because the pastimes of Krishna, they are like rivers of nectar. The river of nectar is flowing. So when we sing the glories of the Lord, what happens? Lord becomes pleased. Lord is a person. Lord also wants to hear his own glories. And he becomes so very happy and satisfied when a living entity turns his face towards Krishna and starts glorifying Krishna. Because millions of lifetimes Krishna bahirmukh hayya jiva bhogvancha kare nikatastha maya tare jhapatiya dhare. So many lifetimes we have been separated from Krishna, and now somehow if somebody turns his face towards Krishna, it is so very wonderful and pleasing to Krishna. Actually, so when we sing the glories of the Lord, Lord becomes very happy and pleased. And when Lord becomes happy and pleased, then he gives the knowledge of his greatness. Because without the mercy of the Lord, we cannot understand him. Athapi te deva padambujadvaya prasadaleshanugrihita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno na chanya eko pichiram vichinvan. Prasad lesh anugrihit. Only if somebody gets a drop of the mercy of the Supreme Lord, then he can understand the greatness of the Lord. And Lord becomes pleased, Lord shows mercy when we hear his glories. And when the Lord shows mercy, then our intelligence becomes strong. And when our intelligence becomes strong, our faith becomes firm and stable. So this is a sequence. This is how our faith increases. It all starts with singing the glories of the Lord, Kirtanam. And we'll see in this chapter how all the kings and all the queens they're singing the glories of Krishna. So Yudhishthir Maharaj, so Shukdev Goswami says that after Lord Krishna, he met with all the gopis, pacified them. Krishna is the spiritual master of the gopis. The word used is Guru and Gatihi. He's a spiritual master and he's the ultimate goal of all the gopis. So therefore, Krishna, he gave so much mercy to all the gopis, and he gave mercy according to their prayer, according to their desire, according to their dedication to him. So that's why Krishna is Guru and Gati. He's the ultimate destination of all the living entities. So after the gopis, now Krishna, he met with another great devotee, Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj is such a wonderful devotee. We know in the first canto, when nobody could stop Krishna. After Krishna, he protected Parikshit Maharaj in the womb of Uttara, and then he heard the prayers of Kunti Maharani. He was leaving. Everybody was trying to stop him, but he didn't stop. But then Yudhishthir Maharaj came and he requested, "Oh Krishna, please stay for some time more." And Krishna agreed. So that's how Yudhishthir Maharaj is such a great devotee that Krishna had to stop. And in fact, all the Pandavas, they are so very devoted to Krishna. Saratya Parashad Sevana Sakhya Dautya Virasana Nugamana Stavana Pranaman Snigdeshu Pandushu Jagat Pranatim Cha Vishnu Bhaktim Karot Nipatis Charana Ravinde. Because all these Pandavas, they were completely devoted and dedicated to Krishna. Krishna was doing everything for the Pandavas. They were malleable to the will of Krishna. So Krishna became malleable to the will of the Pandavas. Krishna becomes controlled by his devotees. So therefore, Krishna, he went to Yudhishthira Maharaj and asked for his welfare. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, when he met with Krishna, it is described, Shukdev Goswami says, Yudhishthir Maharaj, he became completely free of all the sinful reactions just by looking at the feet of Krishna. So of course, there is no sinful reaction for Yudhishthir Maharaj. But it is described earlier also, the only sinful reaction which Yudhishthir Maharaj was perceiving was separation from Krishna. He was thinking that, oh, because I am so sinful, that's why I'm not getting the association of Krishna. So when Krishna, he met Yudhishthir Maharaj, all his sinful reactions got destroyed. That means he got again the association of Krishna. So all the sins are destroyed fully if somebody takes shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. In third canto, it is described, Yashaucha nisrita sarita pravarodakena तीर्थेन मूर्त्यधिकृतेन शिवा शिवो भूत् ध्यातुर्मनः शमलशैलनिसृष्टवज्रं ध्यायेत् चिरं भगवतश्चरणारविन्दम् यत् शौच निसृत शरित, the water which has washed the lotus feet of Krishna, that water even purifies Lord Shiva. He makes Lord Shiva more auspicious. Shiva Shivobhut. Shiva, Lord Shiva, who is already auspicious, becomes more auspicious. Dhyaturmanah Shamala Shaila Nisrishta Vajram. So therefore, one should meditate on the lotus feet of Krishna for a long time, because millions of lifetimes we have done so many sinful activities that it has created a mountain of sin. And to destroy a mountain, ordinary weapon cannot work. It requires a thunderbolt. So lotus feet of the Lord, they are like the thunderbolt, which can destroy the mountains of sins. So therefore, Yudhishthir Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami is saying, he became free of all the sinful reactions just by looking at the feet of Krishna and started answering the question. Krishna asked about the welfare. So he's telling, Kuta Shivam Tvacharanambujasavam Mahan Manasto Mukha Nisritam Kvachit Pibanti Karna Putair Alam Prabhu Deham Pritam Deha Krit Asmriti Chidam Very beautiful verse Yudhishthira Maharaj is telling. Kutah Ashiva, oh my Lord, how can Ashiva, how can misfortune arise for those people who are Charanam Ambuja Asava? Those people who are constantly drinking the nectar of your lotus feet. Even if once somebody drinks, he becomes free from all the sinful reactions. What to speak of one who is drinking regularly? Somebody may ask, but darshan, the lotus feet of the Lord are very rare. How one can attain the darshan of the lotus feet of the Lord? Mahan manasto mukhane sritam kvachit. The lotus feet of the Lord can be seen through the ears. The nectar, asava, asava means the nectar. Charana ambuja asava. So asava means the nectar of the topics of the Lord. The topics of the Lord, they are like nectar. They're so very sweet. The topics which describe the beauty of the Lord, sweetness of the Lord's pastimes, the glories of the Lord's lotus feet, they are so very sweet. It is intoxicating. So asava is sweet and intoxicating also. So anybody who takes this asava, this nectar of Krishna Katha, he becomes so very intoxicated, he forgets all the suffering. So people in the world, when they are so very very frustrated and in great distress, what do? They take shelter of intoxication. Because when somebody is intoxicated, he completely forgets the miseries for time being. So if we drink the nectar of this Charana Ambuja Asava, then we will forget the miseries of the material world. That is the power of Krishna Katha. That is the power of Krishna Nam. So as devotees, we have to try to drink this nectar every day. That is the most important thing. We have to drink the nectar of this Krishna Katha, Krishna Nam, Harinam every day. As Kaviraj Goswami says, Mano bring charaha tahate. So just like Nana Bhaver Bhaktajan Hamsa Chakra Vakagan Yate Sabe Kore Navihar Krishna Keli Sru Mrinal Yaha Pai Sarvakal Bhakta Hamsa Karoe Ahar. So the devotees, they are like the Chakravak, they are like the Hansa. Swans, they like to eat the soft lotus stems. They go in the water and they eat that soft stem. Similarly, a devotee of the Lord should be like that swan and try to be always at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is like the feet of the Lord, they are like lotus. So Mahan, how one can attain this nectar? Mahan manasto mukhanisrita kvachit. This nectar is flowing from the minds of the great devotees. From the mind, this nectar comes through to the mouth, and then through the mouth, this nectar is coming. So it is described. Where is the nectar available? There is a beautiful verse. Abdhau vidhau vadhumukhe faninam nivase swarge sudha vasati vai vibudha vadhanti sharam sharam patimritam garalam patantam Kanthe Sudha Vasati Vai Bhagavad Jananam. Very beautiful verse. So people, they try to find where is nectar, kahan hai, Amrit. Some people say, oh, Amrit is in the ocean, Abdhau, because when the ocean was churned, Amrit came out. Some people say, no, no, moon has nectar. Abdhau Vidhau. Vidhau means the moon. Moon has nectar. That's why as Krishna says, Somo Bhutva Rasatmakaha, I give the nectar to all the vegetation. Some people say, no, where is nectar? Vadhu mukhe, in the face of wife. That is nectar. Some people say, no, 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 Faninam Nivase. Nectar is there in the place of snakes, because when Bhima he went there, he drank so much nectar, he became powerful as 10,000 elephants. Some people say Swarge Sudha Vasati Vai. No, no, nectar is in the heaven, because Devatas they drink the nectar and they are such a long life. But the question may be asked, if the ocean has nectar, Sharam, why the ocean water is salty? No, no, ocean does not have nectar. Sharam, Sharam. If the moon has nectar, then why there is waxing and waning of the moon? No, moon cannot have nectar. Vadhu mukhe, if the face of the wife has nectar, and the husband who is drinking this beauty every day, he also becomes old, he also dies. Sharam, Sharam, Pati Mritam, Pati also dies. If the snakes have nectar, Nagalok has nectar, then why snakes are poisonous? Garalam means poison. And if the Devatas have nectar, then why the Devatas they fall? Patantam. So where is nectar? Kanthe Sudha Vasati Vai Bhagavad Jananam. There is only one place in the entire universe where there is nectar available. That is in the throat of a devotee. Kanthe Sudha Vasati Vai Bhagavad Jananam. So this asava, where you can get Mahan Manasto Mukhane Sritam Kvachit. And then when you drink this nectar, Pibantiye Karna Putai Alam Prabho. Please pour this intoxicating nectar into your ears, not into your mouth. Our ears are very special organs. Ears can do the activities of all the organs. You can see through the ears. Shastra Chakshu. You can taste through the ears. Taste the nectar of Harikatha. Nigam kalpa taro galitam phalam shukumukad amrit dravya samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam. Drink this nectar, taste. You can hear, of course, we can hear all the sound vibrations. We can see through the ears. Srute ikshit. We can see the Lord through the ears. We can smell through the ears. The fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord is carried through the Vedic sound vibration, and we can smell the fragrance of the lotus feet through the ears. So we have to, as this verse says, Pibantiye karna putai alam prabho. Please make your ears as the cups and drink this nectar. Yasmin satkarna piyushe yashastirtha vare sakrit shrotanjali rupasprishya dhunute karmavasana. Anybody who drinks this nectar, making the ears as the cup. Shrota Anjali. Anjali means the cup of your hands. If you drink this nectar through the cup of your hands, what will happen? Dhunute karma vasana. All the karma vasana, all the desire to enjoy this world will go away. Karma vasana will get destroyed. And then what will happen? Deha bhritam, deha kridasmriti chidam. And it destroys all the forgetfulness. It can break apart the thickest layers of material existence and take a living entity out of this universe to the eternal spiritual world. So the sound vibration of Krishna Nam, Krishna Katha is most purifying. And that is the only thing which is actual nectar. That is the only thing which purifies, which animates and enlivens this entire universe. Destroys all the sins of the living entities. Yasya khilami vahavi sumangalai vacho vimishra gunakarma janmabhi prananti shumbhanti punanti vai jagat Yastad virakta shavashobhanamati akhil amiv habi. All the sins can get destroyed and and auspiciousness can be created by the words which are mixed with the vacho vimishra guna karma janma bhi, which are mixed with the guna and karma of the Lord. Prananti, it enlivens. Shumbhanti, it purifies. Prananti Shumbhanti, it animates and purifies. Punanti Vai Jagat. But if the sound vibration is not about Krishna, it is like a decoration of a dead corpse. Shavashobhanamati. So that is how the great devotees of the Lord, they are experiencing the bliss and they are intoxicated, just like the intoxicated person. He does not realize when to give and whom to give money. So devotees, they're intoxicated, so they distribute the nectar of Harikatha without any discrimination. That's what is the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. He's so very intoxicated with the love of Krishna that he's not realizing whom to give, whom not to give, and that is our hope. Because he is drunk with the holy names, with the love of God, that is our hope. आपनी करी आश्वादने शिखाइला भक्त गणे प्रेम चिंता मणि प्रभु धनी नाही जाने स्थान स्थान यारे तारे कैलदान महाप्रभु दाता शिरोमणि. Mahaprabhu is Data Shiromani. He's the best of the givers of charity. So that is the beautiful nature of Harikatha when heard through the mouth of devotees. And Yudhishthira Maharaj continues, "Oh my Lord, if somebody is immersed in taking your darshan, what can the three miseries of this world do? All the three miseries, Adhibhautika, Adhyatmika, Adhidaivika, all the klesh gets destroyed and supreme bliss arises in the heart of that devotee. You are the personification of the Vedas, therefore we bow down to you, O my Lord, who is the destination of all the saintly personalities." And after all these things happened, there were so many queens of Krishna, 16,108 queens of Krishna, they were also there. So, as Yudhishthira Maharaj was praising Krishna, all the women of Andhaka and Kuru dynasty, they met each other. So, Andhaka means all the queens of Krishna, and Kuru dynasty means Draupadi and all the other ladies, they met each other. And what did they do? They started discussing about Krishna. And Shukdev Goswami says, "Oh Yudhishthira, oh Parikshit Maharaj, please listen as I narrate to you what these ladies they discussed." So Jiva Goswami writes that Shukdev Goswami, he is describing the conversation of Rukmini and other queens with Draupadi. And why Shukdev Goswami takes the name of Draupadi? Because Shukdev Goswami, because there were so many other queens also, of the other kings. But Shukdev Goswami had a special respect for the Draupadi because she had such great devotion. Her devotion was unparalleled. She possessed such sweet devotion that Shukdev Goswami had a great respect for Draupadi. So therefore, he takes the name of prominently Draupadi who came. So ladies, all these ladies and the queens of the other kings, they didn't have the complete knowledge of Krishna. So they, along with Draupadi, they came because they wanted to understand and realize Krishna. So they all came headed by Draupadi and they are asking. And as they continued, as they heard the discussion of Yudhishthir Maharaj and Krishna, their enthusiasm also increased. And that's how now they gathered together. So Andhakas, Yadus, Kurus, and all the other queens of the various kings, they gathered together and they started discussing about Krishna. So Draupadi, she is now prominently asking the questions. She is telling, oh Vaidarbhi, that means Rukmini, oh Bhadra, Jamavati, Kalindi, Satyabhama, Mitravinda, oh Rohini. So Rohini is not the mother of Balram. So when Krishna married 16,000 queens, princesses, so the most prominent of the 16,100 queens were Rohini. So Draupadi is asking, "O queens, please tell me how Lord Achyuta, who is Achyuta, he is infallible, he never leaves your home. That's why he's Achyuta. He's there with all of you simultaneously. And but still he is a supreme lord, and still what he is doing, he is imitating the ways of ordinary human being, and he is staying with all of you queens. So therefore, though I know that you are the queens of the Lord eternally, Sanatana Goswami is writing in Laghu Vaishnava Toshini, he is writing that I know that you are eternal queens of Krishna, but I want to hear that when Krishna he appears in this world in his Prakata Leela, he does so many pastimes imitating the behavior of ordinary humans. So I want to hear that. So she is showing such reverence and curiosity. So when when Draupadi, she requested, so the foremost of the principal queens, Rukmini Devi, she started telling. So in these chapters, we can summarize, we can hear the summary of all the marriages of Krishna. So Rukmini is telling that when all the kings they had appeared, they had come headed by Shishupal, Jarasandh, and all the kings were there. They had come with a sole intention that they wanted to hand over me to Shishupal. They wanted to assure that I should be married to Shishupal. But that Supreme Lord who puts his feet, who puts the dust of his feet on all the kings of the world, he came. And just like a lion takes away his prey from the pack of dogs, that Supreme Lord he came and he kidnapped me. May that Supreme Lord, may I be allowed to worship that Supreme Lord's lotus feet. So, as we'll see how all the queens are describing, one very common emotion of all these queens they are not thinking, oh, we are so great, we are queens of Supreme Lord. They are thinking out of their humility, oh Krishna is so very merciful, although we have no qualification. But still, Krishna mercifully, he has showed such mercy to all of us. So therefore, Rukmini Devi is also telling that may I be allowed to worship the lotus feet of Krishna, who is the abode of goddess of fortune. Then, after Rukmini speaks, so though Draupadi, without counting and without taking the names in order, she spoke the names of all the principal queens. But the ladies, they are telling in sequence according to the marriage. So first, Rukmini Devi's marriage happened, and then Jambavati was married to Krishna. But that should have been the sequence. But in this case, there was some change in the sequence. So first, Satyabhama starts speaking. So Satyabhama, she is telling, my father, he was tormented because his brother was killed by some unknown person, and he started accusing Krishna, my lord. And then later, Krishna, he had to protect his reputation. So he, my lord, Supreme Lord, he went to the forest and then he brought back Shamantaka. And when my father, he saw that, oh, I I accused Krishna wrongly. So he started repenting and he started feeling, how can I, do the atonement? So therefore, to atone for the offense, my father, he handed me along with the Shamantaka jewel to the Supreme Lord. Although my father, he had already promised me to many also. Many kings had come asking for my hand, and my father had promised. But just to atone for the offense, he gave me to Krishna, Supreme Lord. So it is described that it is a usual traditional practice among Kshatriyas that they promise, okay, my daughter will be married to you. But in this promise, there is an exception which is allowed. If there is a more powerful Kshatriya and if somebody is a better person available, so then although you may have promised your daughter, you may have promised some person that I'll marry my daughter with you, but you can break that promise. And that's what Satrajit did. So Rukmini Devi, what she prayed at the end, she prayed that may I be given the chance to worship the feet of the Lord. But Satyabhama is not making such prayer. So Sanatana Goswami describes in his book that Rukmini Devi, she had, like most of the queens, she had the Dasya Bhav most prominent. So that's why she is praying like this. But Satyabhama, she had the Sakhya Bhav more prominent. And therefore, she is not asking for that. Although, of course, they are all serving the Lord with great love and devotion. So she didn't pray like Rukmini out of such great love in the mood of Sakhya Bhav. So then after this, Jambavati, she recalls that when Supreme Lord Krishna, he came in search of that Shamantaka jewel. My father, he didn't realize that Krishna is the same Supreme Lord. He is his own master and worshipable deity. And my father fought with him for 27 days. And finally, my father came to senses and he understood that, oh, he's the Supreme Lord. He's my, life and soul. And therefore, he presented me along with the Shamantaka jewel. So all the ladies, as they were hearing about Jamvati's story, they are hearing Jamvati, they could recognize, oh, this girl, this Jamvan had presented this girl to Lord Ram also. Because Jamvan was there at that time. He was such a great devotee serving Lord Ram. And Jamban had presented his girl in marriage to Lord Ram also. But Lord Ram had taken a vow, Ek Patni Vrata. So therefore, Lord Ram could not accept. But now when he returned in Dwapar Yuga to fulfill the desire and the words of his devotee, he accepted now this girl again. So therefore, all the other queens, they wanted to honor Jambavati. Oh, you are the same girl whom Lord promised, whom your father had promised to Lord Ram in Treta Yuga. And they were glorifying Jambavati. But Jambavati, she humbly said, no, I am just a maid servant. Now I am serving as a maid servant of the Lord. That's the humility. So Jiva Goswami tells that in order to negate the impossibility that the bear was her father, he took a suitable form at will. Because who was Jamwan? Jamwan was a son of a devata. And there is a conversation, one time one devotee painter, he asked Prabhupada, this Jamwan, is he a bear? Or is he some other species? Who is he? So Prabhupada said, no, he's not a bear. He's like he's a human, but he's a very, very powerful human. Just like in a kingdom, the somebody may be very powerful and muscular and Herculean person. Jamwan was a very, very powerful man of that time. That's why he was, he had a girl, and Jambati was a human. So how can bear be her father? That is the insight Srila Prabhupada he gave. And after this, Kalindi, she recalls, she tells that, Lord, my Lord knew that I was performing austerities to get him as my husband. So one day he came with his friend Arjuna, and Arjuna he found me, and it is said that Lord and Krishna and Arjuna they saw this Kalindi and Krishna. He sent Arjuna, you go and ask him who are you. So Arjuna he went and he asked this lady, and Kalindi she told that, oh, I am son of sun Surya Dev. I am the daughter of Surya Dev, and I am doing tapasya in this waters to get the Supreme Lord. So therefore Supreme Lord came and he took my hand in marriage. And then she tells, now I am engaged as a sweeper in his palace. That is such a mood of humility. All the queens, they are never real proud. Although they are personally serving the Supreme Lord, they are getting such close association of Krishna. Panthastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayo rathapi manaso munipungavana. The great sages, they are not even getting a chance to see the tip of the toe of the Supreme Lord. And these queens, they are there with Krishna whole day, whole night. Still, they are so humble. So we have to understand that humility is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. It is the crux. And all the queens, they are showing by their personal example and behavior how humility is so very important. Nobody can be proud, because ultimately whatever we have is by the mercy of Krishna. Krishna does not like his devotees to be proud, even to the extent of gopis. We heard in Ras Panchadhyaya when gopis became little proud, oh, Krishna is with us, Krishna left them. Even Radharani, of course, that is the pastime which Krishna is manifesting. So Kalindi, she is telling that, oh, now I am engaged as a sweeper in his palace. And then Mitravinda, she speaks. At my Swayamvar ceremony, although my brothers, they were not in favor. She had two brothers, Vindhya and Anuvindhya, and they were the followers of Duryodhan, and they were not ready, they were not in favor of marrying me to Krishna. And they arranged a Swayamvar so that all the kings may come, and I may be given to somebody else. But Krishna understood my heart, and just like a lion removes the prey from the midst of the pack of dogs, Krishna came and kidnapped me and married me. So then she says, may I be allowed to serve him by washing his feet always. So it is said that if a person takes away the property of some other, he is like a dog. And therefore, Mitravinda is telling, I was the property of the Supreme Lord, and these kings, they wanted to take me away. So she is comparing them with the dogs. And then Satya, she tells, my father, he arranged for 7 extremely powerful, valiant, vigorous bulls. And he had this condition that anybody who could subdue these 7 bulls, I will be given to that person in marriage. So many kings came and they tried to defeat these bulls, but these bulls, they would become angry just by the smell of Kshatriyas. And all the great kings, they went back with their arms and legs broken. But Krishna, Supreme Lord Krishna, when he came, he very easily, just like a child plays with the toy bulls. Krishna, he expanded himself into 7 and very easily subdued all the bulls. May I be granted the privilege to serve that Supreme Lord. Then Bhadra, she speaks that, my dear Draupadi, actually my father, you know, he could understand my will, and he invited. So Bhadra was related to Krishna, so already familial relationship. So her father invited Krishna, his nephew, and very happily gave Bhadra in marriage to Krishna, along with so much of the wealth and nice maid servants and division of army. That's how Bhadra speaks. And then she tells that my ultimate perfection of the life is, may I be allowed to touch the feet of the Lord and serve the feet of the Lord always, life after life. Otherwise, now I am wandering in this material world because of my karmic reactions. The only way to purify myself of all these karmic reactions is to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. So, Hridayanand Maharaj, he writes in the purport that Bhadra, she is speaking not just for her, she is speaking on behalf of all the living entities. Only by serving the lotus feet of the Lord one can come out of the cycle of birth and death. Otherwise, it is not possible. And then after this, Lakshmana, the 8th queen, she speaks. So Lakshmana, she says that, I had repeatedly heard the glories of Supreme Lord from the sage Narada. And already I had given my heart to Krishna, the Supreme Lord, and had chosen him as my husband. And my father, he knew, you know. So therefore, my father, Brihatsena, he wanted to give me in marriage, but he was concerned and fearful about the other kings also. If I just give my daughter to Krishna, all the other kings, they will come and they'll attack me. So he arranged a wonderful Swayamvar ceremony. She's telling to Draupadi, oh Draupadi, just like in your Swayamvar ceremony, there was a fish and the person had to hit the eye of that fish looking in the reflection. In my Swayamvar ceremony also there was a fish which was arranged, but it was much, much more difficult. It was concealed from all sides. And to to strike the eye of that fish, a person had to look up and down simultaneously, which is an impossible feat by any mortal. So many warriors came, thousands of kings came who were very, very expert in archery. And they came, some of them tried to pick up the bow. The bow was also very heavy. Many of them could not even pick up the bow. Some of them, they picked up the bow and they were trying to string the bow. But the string, it went back so heavily that they fell. Many of the kings, they could manage stringing the bow, just like Shishupal, Bhima, Jarasandh, Duryodhan, Karna. They all succeeded in stringing the bow, but they could not hit the target. They were physically very strong, but they were not so very skilled. Then Arjuna came. Arjuna looked at the reflection on the water and determined the position, and he shot the arrow. He very easily picked up the bow and strung it, and then he shot the arrow. But the arrow just grazed the fish, and therefore he could not also, get me. Jiva Goswami tells that actually Arjuna, he did this so that the glories of the Lord may be spread. He knew that the Lord should be glorified as the most powerful archer. The whole life of Pandavas was for this. Yudhishthira Maharaj, he performed such a great Rajasuya Yajna just to glorify the Lord as the Agra Purusha, as the person who is worshipped, the the first person, the most powerful, worshipable personality in the entire universe. So, life of Pandavas was for pleasing Krishna, was for glorifying Krishna. So, therefore, Arjuna, he also wanted to spread the glories of the Lord. So, therefore, he also didn't hit. And then all the kings, their pride were broken. So, Krishna, very Supreme Lord, he came very easily, strung it and fixed the bow and hit the target. Just pierce the target, knocking it down. And very gladly I came, taking the holding the garland, and I garlanded Krishna. All the kings, when they saw as I was going back, my father was so very happy, you know, because Krishna, he pierced that fish during the noon time, and that was very very difficult because it was an open area, and in the noon time the sun is also up. So the sun was, very brilliant, and it was even difficult to detect the fish. So such a difficult task. You have to look up and down, and then the sun is there, sun is dazzling. But Krishna very effortlessly he pierced. All the instruments started sounding, kettle drums and the bugles and the bheri and the bridangas. Everybody started singing. They were telling Jai Jai. They were so very happy. And I came holding that garland, and I garlanded the Supreme Lord with a shy smile on my face. So that's how Krishna he married me. And when Krishna was taking me back on chariot, all the other envious lusty kings they attacked. But Krishna very easily defeated all those kings. And that's how, you know. And she tells one important thing. When all these kings they were attacking, Krishna manifested his four hands. With two hands, he, he was holding me because I was becoming fearful. Seeing all these warriors, just like Rukmini Devi, she also became fearful when all the warriors they were attacking. So Krishna tells, Ma Bhaishta, do not fear, Vamalochane. You know, your armies will defeat this army. Don't worry. So Krishna, he held with this Lakshmana with two hands, and with the other two hands he was shooting arrows. And Daruka, he very easily he drove on, and Krishna he defeated all the kings, and I was married. The entire battle, entire field converted into a pool of blood with the hands, legs, and necks of the warriors lying here and there. So after the war was over, my father honored all the friends and in-laws according to their position, and then I was given to Krishna. It is said that Lakshmana, she was so very embarrassed. She was uh, so very absorbed in thinking about her marriage that she didn't even realize that she is praising herself in front of all the co-wives. And then after telling everything, she realized, oh, I am speaking, in front of all these queens, such detailed, because if you read all the other queens, they spoke one verses. But Lakshmana, she practically half of the chapter is, the story of Lakshmana. So then later she realized, oh, I am speaking in front of all the co-wives. So she started praising all the other co-wives also. She says, and therefore, by renouncing all the material possessions and practicing all the austerities, we have now become the maid servants of Krishna. So she is telling everyone. She is including everyone. So then after this, Rukmini Devi, on behalf of all the 16,100 queens, she is speaking. So she is telling that after killing Bhaumasur, when Krishna he entered that palace where Bhaumasur had kept all of us, it was a very dark place, it was very dirty. But when Krishna he entered that place, he could understand that we were the daughters of the kings, and he understood our heart, because in our hearts we were worshipping the Supreme Lord, we were remembering him always. Therefore, Supreme Lord, showing mercy, he agreed to marry all of us. So Draupadi, she may think, if that is so, then Krishna will fulfill all your desires, right? Because you are devoted. So Krishna will fulfill all your desires. You have surrendered to his lotus feet. So expecting this response, they are telling, Na vayam sadvi samrajyam swarajyam bhaujyam apyuta vairajyam parameshtyam cha anantyam va hare padam. O Sadhvi, O saintly lady, Na vayam samrajyam, we don't want the dominion over this entire earth. Swarajyam bhaujyam, we don't want the sovereignty as the king of heaven. We don't want to have the unlimited facility for enjoyment. Bhaujyam, vairajyam, we don't even want liberation. We don't even want mystic powers. We don't even want the position of Brahma. So what do you want then? Somebody asked, what do you want? So this is a very similar prayer. Uh, Vritrasura is also praying the same. Uh, the wives of Kalia, they are also praying the same. न सार्वभौमं नरसाधिपत्यं न योग सिद्धि पुनर्भवं वा. So they are also telling the same thing. And what do you want? काम्याम काम्याम आह एतस्य श्रीमत्पादरजस्त्रियः कुचकुङ्कुम गन्धाढ्यं मूर्धना वोढुं गदाभृतः. Kamayamah aitasya. What do we want? We only desire Srimat Pad Rajaha. We just want the glorious dust of Krishna's lotus feet. That dust which is enriched by the kumkum from his consort's bosom. We want that dust. We want to carry on our heads that dust. We don't want anything else. You know what is that dust? Who wants that dust? Vrajastriyo yadavanchanti Pulindya trinavirudah Gavascharayato gopa Padasparsham mahatmana. The gopis, they were hankering for the dust. The ladies, aborigine ladies of Brindavan, the Pulindas, even all the gopas, they were also hankering for the dust of the Krishna's lotus feet as he's roaming around in the forest, taking care of the calves and the cows. So Chakravarti Thakur writes that in this verse there is a jealousy. All the queens, they are jealous of the gopis. That gopis, they were getting this dust of Krishna every day. We want that dust. So in this way, all the queens, they described their marriage to Krishna. And that is the end of this chapter. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai.